That's such a beautiful tie-in to the New Testament to realize that it's the Lord Jehovah who's telling King David, I'm going to build you a house. You're not going to build the temple or a house for me. Your son Solomon is going to do that. The reason that's given here in chapter 7 is because David has been a man of war, a man of blood. It's been a pretty violent life for David. And he says, you're not going to be the one to build that temple for me. It's going to be your son. But I will build you that house. And to me, the beautiful symbolism here is that it's the Lord speaking to him, giving him the prophecy of your kingdom will never fail, and it's going to be your son, not your literal son Solomon, but your son Jesus Christ, who is going to sit on the throne of David and restore the kingdom to the house of Israel, to the house of David, this dynasty that will reign forever and ever and ever. It's wonderful that David's hearing this from the Lord, who is the one who is actually going to be the fulfillment of all of those very, very prophecies.
Adding to this, we should indicate that this promise that we see here, this enduring eternal promise to David, that he will always have a descendant on the throne. When we earlier mapped out this kind of long history, around 600 BC, when the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem and King Zedekiah is killed, the Bible writers are scratching their head. They're like, we know this promise to David, that it was supposed to be an eternal kingdom. How is it that we've lost the temple, which is the symbol of God's presence with us? Emmanuel, God with us. Well, God isn't with us because his temple's been destroyed and the city's been destroyed and we're off in a foreign country under foreign gods. How do we account for this? So it turns out that the Bible editors are trying to make an accounting for how could it be that God would give an eternal promise and yet it didn't get fulfilled? And they make it very clear throughout the narrative that the people chose apostasy again and again because most of the kings had chosen apostasy and led the people away from God. And so the message is, if you choose the right king, and if that king keeps you on the covenant path, you are more likely, you are promised to endure. And ultimately, it's Jesus is the king. He shows up. He delivers the Sermon on the Mount. He says, here is the update to the covenantal instructions. If you align with me, I'm the king of heaven, you will prosper in the land. And it's also interesting, the Book of Mormon deals with the same thing, where you have a group of people leaving the area of Jerusalem at this time. They understand that people are falling because they haven't kept the covenants. Nephi teaches his people, we have to be loyal to God. 1,000 years later, Mormon, just like the Bible writers, is like scratching his head. How do I account for the fact that yet again, these people have fallen into disarray? It's because they have failed to live up to their end of the bargain. So God's covenantal promises are eternal. They never go away, but we can choose to turn away from them and not get access to it. They're still there if we turn back. And that's the thrust of these stories. Sure, we can get lost in the weeds of all the political conflict and the intrigue and the assassinations. If we just step back, it's about God promising his enduring love to people, and it's always available if we choose to stay connected to him.